Recording in progress.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the People's House. It's good to see everybody in here. If you will, please join me in a moment of silence. Thank you. Now I'll pass it over to Councilmember Freeman.
Thank you. It's our practice to stand to salute the flag and say the pledge if you'd like to join us.
All right, Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, and members of City Council. Mayor Williams.
I'm here.
Mayor Pro Tem Middleton.
I'm here.
Councilmember Baker.
Here.
Councilmember Caballero.
Here.
Councilmember Cook.
Here.
Councilmember Freeman.
Present.
And Councilmember Estes.
Here.
Tonight is epic. Tonight's proclamation over here.
Over there.
Over here. It's good to see you all. Come on out. Anybody else? All right, cool. I have the distinct honor and privilege of reading this proclamation that I was supposed to read the other night at their gala. But unfortunately, I had to rush out, so I'm sorry about that. I felt horrible. But as I told people, there's one calendar that supersedes the entire city, and that's when my wife has something on the calendar. All right, so tonight I will read this proclamation for you all. Whereas Empowered Parents and Community, EPIC, is a Black-led, community-rooted, strength-based organization unapologetically focused on Black children and youth and their success at school and life. And whereas EPIC establishes powerful community collectives led by Black parents who are united in their mission to transform educational outcomes for Black children and youth through collaborative action and advocacy. And whereas EPIC has equipped parents and caregivers in Durham with the tools, knowledge, and organizing strategies needed to drive awareness and champion equitable opportunities for all children and youth, impacting more than 3,000 members of our community since 2019. And whereas strong community partnerships serves to strengthen capacity and increase the successful Black parent-led initiatives to transform educational outcomes. And whereas EPIC shares the City of Durham's goals to strengthen community bonds and foster belonging by building trust, maintaining relationships, and empowering residents to actively engage in local government decision-making. Now, therefore, I, Leonardo Williams, Mayor of the City of Durham, North Carolina, do hereby proclaim February 17th, 2025 as Empowered Parents and Community Day in the City of Durham, and urge all citizens to observe this month with appropriate ceremonies, activities, and programs. Witness my hand in the corporate seal of the City of Durham, North Carolina, this 17th day of February.
Wonderful. Thank you, sir.
Got it. Woo. All right, good. Just some words, sir.
Mayor Williams, Mayor Pro Tem Middleton, esteemed council members, City Manager Ferguson, and respected staff of the Durham City, I extend my appreciation for the opportunity to address you this evening. My name is Vicki Miller, and I am the chair of Empowered Parents and Community, also known as EPIC. It is with great honor that we accept this proclamation on behalf of the EPIC Board of Directors. At EPIC, we embody the spirit of empowered parenting and community engagement, actively challenging and reshaping systems to uplift Black children. Our organization is distinguished by its Black leadership, community-centric approach, and collaborative, strength-based ethos, all centered on ensuring that Black children thrive both academically in life's broader context. This recognition from the city holds significant meaning for us, and I would like to take a moment to acknowledge my fellow board members and the dedicated staff of EPIC who are present with us tonight. I am joined by Vice Chair Yolanda Brown, Executive Director Giovanni Lewis, and EPIC Program Coordinator Mavreen Nathan Scott. So with that, thank you so much for this proclamation.
Thank you all. Thank you. All right. Thank you all for that. I am now going to pass this to my colleagues for comments. But before we do that, tonight I'm going to preempt our comments with a brief statement of my own on behalf of the city. Just a few days ago, we experienced a targeted operation by the Immigration and Customs Enforcement, better known as ICE, and it was here in our community. Let me say that whenever ICE comes to a community, they are not obligated to inform the local government. This is how our federal government is. This is how it works with ICE. I received several inquiries asking if I could confirm whether there was a raid or sweep or whatever happened with ICE here in Durham, and unfortunately, I did not know. No one on this council knew. We all found out through community-based information in video that was captured. There has been some inquiry of whether the Durham Police is assisting in these efforts. So I wanted to take a moment to say here, our police department, paid for and funded by your tax dollars, are tasked with servicing the people of Durham, protecting and serving the folks of Durham. It is not in their scope of work to extend their services to the federal government or to be an extension of such. So therefore, I am saying on the record that our police department will always do their job as they always have for the folks here in Durham, and that we have a strong record that goes back years, the city, and standing with all the members of our community. And all that are welcome. This is a place for all kinds, all types, colors, creeds, races, ethnicities. Once you walk in the borders of Durham, you're Durhamite. And we are an embracing community. And we will continue to hold those values to be true. And we will continue to make sure that we are making sure that our law enforcement are doing the job that they are tasked and scoped to do for Durham, within Durham, by Durham, of Durham, for the people of Durham. Thank you. Mr. Manager, do you have anything to add to that?
No, Mayor, you accurately captured the mission of the police department as we administer it. Thank you.
Thank you, and we will continue to do just that. Nothing will change. I will now pass it over to my colleagues, starting with Councilmember Cook.
Good evening, everyone. We have a full house tonight. Good evening to those watching at home. I just want to take a moment and appreciate what the mayor said, and also want to acknowledge that the fear in this community is real. We are worried about our neighbors, and we're all impacted. And so I just want to acknowledge that it's a real fear, and we're all feeling that with you as well. Sitting heavy on my heart, as per usual, is that I was in eviction court all week last week, and continue to see our neighbors, and particularly our elders, who are left without real options for housing in Durham. Some of you may have seen that there was a story out of Detroit where a family was staying in a vehicle, and they had been staying in a vehicle for several months, and I'm just like, sorry, I'm trying not to cry. Okay. Two of the children that were in that vehicle, it stopped overnight. They weren't able to get the vehicle turned on. They weren't able to get heat, and two of the children died from cold exposure, a 9-year-old and a 2-year-old. And that's in a city where there are adequate shelters for folks, and I'm constantly reminded in Durham that we have a line out the door for our homeless shelters, and we do not have enough shelter. We're putting in the work, we are trying, but if one single person doesn't have a place to go, it is not adequate. We are not doing a good enough job. So that is feeling really heavy on my heart, watching in eviction court, seeing the folks who are sort of on the precipice of being in this like absolute disaster, and then also knowing that the resources really just don't exist on the other side. So that is a heavy thing to think about. I also want to say happy Valentine's Day to everyone, and also happy Black History Month. I want to acknowledge how many amazing Black artists we have in our community. I think that this weekend was a really incredible showcase of that. Folks did an open mic at the Pinhook. There were several other activities that went on, and I'm just really always humbled by how much talent there is in this community. So I wanted to say thanks for that, and also just to recognize that Valentine's Day doesn't have to be about a significant other. It can just be whatever love you have to whatever other people. Remember when we used to give Valentines out, and it was just to your classmates, whoever you wanted to love. So hopefully a little bit more of that going on. And my very last thing is that I just want to inform my colleagues that I will have to be leaving our work session, hopefully not early, but after about 2 hours on Thursday. So I just wanted to give you all a heads up about that.
We'll leave
Maybe we'll be done.
We'll leave the longevity up to you, Councilmember.
We'll maybe be done. We'll see. All right, thank you. That's all.
All right, Councilmember Baker.
It's wonderful to see everyone in the audience this evening. Thank you all for being here and for showing up and participating civically. We had a very productive, the council had a very productive city council budget retreat on Friday. There were a lot of very informative presentations that were provided by staff, a lot of, I thought, very productive conversations that we had, and that is all available to the public. You can just Google Durham City Council budget retreat. It should be the first or second item on the list. Get financial projections, budget outlook, overview from resident surveys, tax assessor office information, much more, lots of great information on there. So I would highly encourage you, if you're interested in what's going on and setting the stage for the upcoming budget, to take a look at that. As we all know, we're living under a increasingly dire federal government. We could call it the dictatorship of the billionaires. And I think increasingly people are becoming worried about the situation at the federal level. Even while so many residents across the country and in our city are living in difficult situations, living on the edge, we have a federal government completely out of touch with what's going on in the streets and proposing $4 trillion tax cuts for the rich and gutting of environmental regulations and all sorts of departments that provide services to ordinary people. And so we operate in that context. That is the context in which we're operating. Meanwhile, we're losing too many people in our streets to gun violence. We're losing too many people in our streets, unhoused residents, as Councilmember Cook pointed to traffic collisions and preventable forms of violence that are affecting mostly our young people. And I appreciate the words of our mayor about ICE. We are losing people now to raids by the federal government. And these particular raids, I know, did not make people feel safer in the neighborhood, do not make people safer in our city. And only create a sense of fear, break up families. And so that is something that weighs heavy on me. Lastly, I wanted to make a plug. Dr. DeVarian Baldwin is a professor at Trinity College, which is in Hartford, Connecticut. He's amazing, really inspiring human being. He's the founding director of the Smart Cities Research Lab at Trinity. So he will actually be speaking at SEEDS, which is located at 706 Gilbert Street at 5 p.m. on Friday. In case folks are interested, it is open to the public. And that is it for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Caballero. Councilmember Caballero.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Just want to say thank you to my colleagues for their comments, and I just wanted to add some additional comments. We know that there were 9 individuals detained last week by ICE, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, and I think a lot of folks are rightfully scared, and kind of in this moment, a lot of folks are also going, well, what can I do, and feeling helpless. And there is a huge demand for need for lots of things in our community right now. So if you are somebody who is feeling helpless in this moment, I'm going to be listing out a variety of organizations that are asking either for donations or volunteers. So maybe you can't donate, but you can offer your time. Then I'm going to go ahead and list them. So Iglesia Emmanuel Food Pantry has seen an uptick of residents. Last week they saw an uptick, I think, of 720 residents, new residents who were in need of the food pantry there. Church World Service, which is one of our refugee resettlement organizations, had to recently furlough 2/3 of its staff. They also are in search of donations and volunteers. World Relief, our second refugee resettlement organization, we have 2 here in Durham. I think they furloughed maybe about 1/3 of their staff. They're also in need of donations. Urban Ministries and Families Moving Forward both serve unsheltered families and folks, and they are also in need of donations. Urban Ministries often also needs volunteers. Siembra, which is an organization that is responsible for doing a lot of the rapid response to ICE. They consistently have trainings. So if you would like to get trained, Siembra is SIEMBRA. You can find them online. They also run a hotline. So if you see what we saw last week were really brave neighbors filming and trying to stand up to the folks who came and quite frankly kidnapped members of our community. And there were 2 Durham residents who were filming them and asking them who they were and trying to get them to identify themselves. If you feel like you want to participate in that type of action, then you should look up Siembra. Again, they are running trainings. El Centro Hispano is also looking for donations and volunteers, and the list goes on and on and on. As we see what the federal government is going to be doing, we're going to have more and more unsecure residents, not just immigrants and refugees, but all kinds of folks. There are lots and lots of residents who rely on SNAP in Durham. There are lots and lots of folks who rely on Medicaid in Durham. And so if you are feeling, like many of us, about not, what can you do? As a good Catholic, go do some community work, So that's what I have to share with folks. Additionally, if you are not able to donate your time or resources because of whatever is happening in your own life, which rightfully so, there is a bill, H.R. 32, No Bailout for Sanctuary Cities Act, which is currently being discussed in Congress. It would broaden, so in North Carolina, we have no sanctuary cities. That is something that the state General Assembly preempted, meaning it took it away, that power or right from local municipalities back in 2015. But there are other communities across the United States, and it would also broaden the definition of what it means to be a sanctuary city. So you could call your congressperson, your representative is Valerie Foushee. There are other folks, you have 2 senators that you could call and ask them not to vote for that. And finally, if you just need to do something silly or funny, you can go to Google and update the Gulf of America back to the Gulf of Mexico. That is also something that one can do that is humorous in this moment of, a lot of dark things happening. So those are my comments this evening. Thank you.
Councilmember Freeman. Councilmember Rist.
There's so much I want to say, but I'm not going to start tonight. I did want to just appreciate, I believe Poof is in the room, and all of the students that are here. I want to welcome you all and say thank you for being here. And to all of the other folks, I noticed a lot of colors and letters in the back, Greek letters. I just want to say thank you for being here as well, and welcome. And that's all for right now. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Rist.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, City Manager, colleagues, folks in the room. It's good to see so many folks filling our chambers here and folks watching online. The first thing I do want to say is I want to appreciate all my colleagues' comments about this certainly scary and fearful situation regarding ice raids. And I appreciate the statement that the mayor read. We received, all my colleagues here on the council received a bunch of emails this week about what's the city doing. So I appreciate you lifting up what we're doing, and also Councilmember Caballero lifting up what people can do who care about this situation. So much appreciated. I've got a couple of comments. First of all, I do want to remember Orville Powell, who was City Manager Ferguson's predecessor between, I think, like 1983 and 1996. Actually, he was the manager when Wanda was hired in the finance department. So Mr. Powell served over the course of, I think there were like 5 mayors, going back to Charlie Markham, Wib Gully, Chester Jenkins, Harry Rodenheiser, and Sylvia Kirchhoff. He passed away in early February in his home in Curie Beach. Was well known in management circles, was the city manager of Winston-Salem before he came to Durham, and then later served for 18 years as a professor at Indiana University in the School of Public and Environmental Affairs. So he's still remembered by many here. It's good to see head nodding here on the dais. He will have a service in his honor this Wednesday, February 19th at 11 a.m. at First Presbyterian Church downtown. And if you would like to go, you're certainly welcome to attend there. He was a member of First Pres as well. Second thing I want to say is that we did have a budget retreat, as Councilmember Baker mentioned last Friday. Really productive retreat. I want to thank the manager and your staff for organizing an incredibly informative and helpful event. I just wanted to highlight, because we often talk about the resident survey, I want to highlight that there was, as usual, strong satisfaction among residents. 79% rated Durham as an excellent or good place to live. And as always, there's a high level of satisfaction with the quality of services offered by the city. So great job, city staff. I also want to say along those lines that I want to thank the residents of Durham. You know, we came to you last year with a 9.5% increase in the budget. You all dug deep to fund that. Part of that, a large part of that, was funding increases for city staff salaries to bring them up to market, right? And so the message we heard at the retreat was that is working. We have more employees, we have fewer vacancies, and we have lower turnover. So again, boosting pay was the right thing to do, both for the workers themselves, but also for our community. So again, thank you to the taxpayers for funding that increase to fund those well-deserved increases for our city workers. Speaking of taxes, I have another thing here that's really important in terms of financial security. So as you may know, tax season has kicked off. This year, for the first time, there's a new program available called Direct File. Direct File is a free program where you can file your taxes directly with the federal government, with IRS. We're now one of 25 states that has Direct File available to their residents. This is after a pilot last year. So why is this important? What's the point here? So Direct File saves taxpayers money and time in filing their taxes. It's estimated that 1.2 million taxpayers across the state of North Carolina are eligible to file using Direct File. When filing is easy and free, more households file their taxes, making them potentially eligible for key benefits such as the Earned Income Tax Credit and the Child Tax Credit. As you may know, some taxpayers fall below the threshold you need to pay taxes and therefore don't file taxes. But we know that nationwide, approximately 1 in 5 taxpayers who would be eligible for the Earned Income Tax Credit don't get it, in part because they don't file their taxes. We know statewide that Direct File could bring in about $200 to $300 million in credits to families in North Carolina. And just doing the math, that would equate to something like $5 to $8 million in the city of Durham. So this is money that would go back to the pockets of individual families in Durham, but also would recirculate in our economy. So it's good for all of us. So I just want to make sure you know about Direct File, spread the word among your neighbors and your colleagues. You can find out more on irs.gov. But this is a really big new innovation in taxes and in tax justice in North Carolina. Let's see. That's, I guess, the last thing. On a lighter note, I just want to let everybody know that next weekend, I see that Wade Walcott's here from DPR. Next weekend is the grand opening of the Wheels skating rink, which is the first phase of the expansion of the Merrick-Moore Park. This is really exciting stuff. It's going to start on Thursday with a grand opening, and there are going to be events all weekend long. So we've been waiting for this, and it's so exciting. So y'all, I'm sure y'all would want to go out to Wheels and enjoy the brand new facility there. So thanks so much to DPR and the staff for making that happen. That's all I got, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem?
Thank you, Your Honor, and thank you to my honorable colleagues and to all of our friends and neighbors in chamber and on whatever platform you may be watching. Good evening. Very quickly, Mr. Mayor, just wanted to send a shout out to Meals on Wheels Durham. Had an opportunity to attend their gala, one of my favorite events on Durham's social calendar this past Saturday night at the Washington Duke Inn. Meals on Wheels does just sacred work. Many of you may have family members who benefit from Meals on Wheels, or you might one day need them. For many folk, it's a meal. For other folks, it's a human touch and human interaction with folk who come. And they've been doing great work in our city for 50 years. I want to send a special shout out to Jason Peace, who's the executive director. Had a great auction, a great time with them, and we thank them for the incredible work that they continue to do. More and more, we're going to be focused on what we can do locally for ourselves. Mr. Mayor, thank you for your words of comfort and clarification and knowledge to our community tonight with respect to what Durham is doing. And I'm going to thank Councilmember Riss for acknowledging all of the many emails. We get them. We're getting them, the many emails that we've gotten from folk. We hear you, and at the risk of sounding presumptuous, I just want to say to folk that sometimes not saying something at certain times will do more good than saying something. We are in a period of heightened scrutiny. Sometimes you gotta pop out and show people what you're doing, but other times you need to just let the work continue to go on. I would rather have the work continue than to placard a bright light and be holding a light, and the work that the light drew attention to was suspended or interrupted because we shone a light on it. So we hear you. The work is being done. Let us continue to hold each other up and love each other and support each other in this time. Sometimes clock management is what you need. in the game, and we're in a period now where we're doing clock management. Finally, this is our last Monday night meeting during Black History Month. Mr. Mayor and colleagues, thank you, colleagues, for acknowledging, Councilmember Cook for acknowledging Black History Month. On our first meeting of the year, I entered into the record the second stanza of Lift Every Voice and Sing by the poet James Weldon Johnson. And on this last Monday night meeting for Black History Month, I'd like to, for the record, enter into the record the third stanza of Lift Every Voice and Sing, and I think it's appropriate at this time. God of our weary years, God of our silent tears, thou who hast brought us thus far on the way, thou who hast by thy might led us into the light, keep us forever in the path, we pray. Lest our feet stray from the places, our God, where we met thee, lest our hearts, drunk with the wine of the world, we forget thee, shadowed beneath thy hand, may we forever stand true to our God, true to our native land. God bless Durham. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Young people, get off your phones. Pay attention. I would like to also give a shout out to Meals on Wheels and Epic. Those were the two events that I briefly stopped by this weekend, and thank you for the work that you all are doing. Tomorrow is a really big day. Tomorrow is the state of the city. And I know that in past times we're used to the mayor getting up from this seat off the dais and walking down there to the podium and sharing remarks and then come back up here and go on with the meeting. Well, as I like to say to my staff, let's plan for the experience that we want. So once again, we will do just that. So tomorrow, we will start at 6 p.m. in the Durham Convention Center. We will have city departments on blast. We're going to have some community members tabling as well. We are going to have the Durham Symphony performing. We're going to have the jazz ensembles. We're going to have Hillside Dance Company performing. And last year, I proudly created a little controversy when I said Durham is dope. Well, that's because it is. And I blasted it all on the big screen. And some of you all may not know this person, but his name is DJ Nabs. DJ Nabs was the DJ for Sierra and Crisscross, and I know I'm aging myself here now, but a bunch of famous people. He's also famous, but he's also a Durhamite. He took the liberty of producing a song called Durham is Dope. And we will hear that piece tomorrow. But the theme of this year's State of the City is, I love my city. I truly, truly love this city. And so we will have that produced into a performance as well. And that you'll get to see that performance tomorrow by Boy. So I'm really excited. The first hour will be in the Convention Center corridor and performances and tabling. And then we'll get on to the program over in the Carolina Theater. If you were there last year, you saw it was a pretty big crowd. Well, based on registrations, we have doubled. We've doubled the crowd from last year, so it's going to be even bigger. And for Black History Month, I am so excited to honor, each year I try and honor someone. This year, I will be reading a proclamation and honoring the first Black mayor of Durham, Mr. Chester Jenkins. And his wife will be there to receive this in his honor. So I'm really excited about that as well. So colleagues, I look forward to us being there tomorrow. To the community, I look forward to you all being there. And I'm going to have a little after party at Velvet Hippo afterwards. So I'm going to have a little fun afterward, and then I'll be extremely tired. Coming up, there will be, so I've been doing this tour around the community. I want to thank the special assistant to the mayor, Mr. Derek Stanfield, who will be leaving and leading these initiatives even more throughout the year to come. this is the mayor's personal finance playbook. And basically what that means is it's a tour on financial literacy and economic empowerment and mobility. And we are going all over the city. You want to learn how to buy your first home. You want to understand the importance of credit. You want to know what you're going to do with Big Mama's house. You know, if someone leaves a house in your name or that you're responsible for, estate planning, wills, all of those things. These are free workshops that we are going around the city providing. Please just follow, just make sure you're signing up on the newsletter and get when we're having these, or either follow my socials, Mayor of Bull City, on Instagram and Facebook. And in all social media platforms, Mayor of Bull City, to keep up with what we're doing. There is something that I usually don't do, but the perks of being mayor is sometimes you get to call an audible. Tonight, I am going to alter our program just a bit, colleagues. I believe that our government should work for all people, and we try to do that as best as possible. We understand that there will be barriers sometimes, but when I think about what's happening in our community with our young people, if I'm being at all honest, sometimes I feel just pure helpless. And, you know, we have to work within this bureaucracy that takes forever to yield results, and we're responding to something that is immediate. So tonight, I am going to open up my announcements or my commentary to allow for some remarks to be shared on behalf of folks that usually when we have open comments to the community, they're at school. And they came last Monday, the last Monday night meeting. They were not allowed to speak. They didn't even know when to sign up or how it worked. So they came in and then they left. And I've been getting a lot of outreach from these kids saying, Mayor, we want to be heard. So tonight, I'm going to ask a representative to speak. You know, you guys reached out to me, I heard you, and I'm going to yield some of my time tonight to let your voice be heard to this community. So do we have a representative? They tried to sign up. They were signing up on all types of things, just trying to figure out how it works. So I'm making an audible tonight, and I'm going to use my time and my prerogative as mayor to give voice to these young people. So you're representing all these folks here?
Yep.
Yes. Thank you for coming. State your name for the record.
My name is Joel Campbell. Good evening, everyone. My name is Joel Campbell. I'm a 16-year-old from Durham, North Carolina. I'm honored to be a part of the Durham County Youth Programming System, and especially here at the Poutine Center. Like, the Poutine Center is just, it's not just a center where you go and you got to sit there for a couple hours listening to somebody talk. It's really like a family, like, you know what I'm saying? That's how I feel like with Poof. It's like my family, and it's been a lifeline for me and so many other people. Like, I could, you know what I'm saying, I could name right now people that standing in this building right now. It's been a lifeline for all of us. And I lost when I was 8 years old. I lost my brother to gun violence, and it's just like, at that time I was in you know what I'm saying, a dark stage in my life, and it was like I didn't know really what to do until I got to middle school and I met Miss Destiny. In 2020, 2020, something like that, yeah. And it's just been like, ever since I met her, it's just everything been like easier for me. I've been able to evaluate situations that, like, you know what I'm saying, that come at me when I have to deal with police officers in the city, you know what I'm saying, like I just been knowing how to evaluate certain things. And it was just like, when I met Miss Destiny, everything changed for me. Yeah, that's what I want to say.
Good evening, everyone. I am Cameron Clayton, and I attend J.D. Clement Early College. I am here today to talk to you about the importance of youth programs in our community. I believe youth programs are essential because they bring us together to network, gain knowledge, and build meaningful relationships. These programs keep us engaged in fun activities and provide valuable life skills such as financial literacy. That is one of the reasons why I attend POOF, an after-school program that focuses on 3 main pillars: world traveling, financial literacy, and life preparation. Along with my mom and family, POOF has also played a part of planning my future by teaching me how to save money, book a flight, start a business, and manage my money wisely. Important life skills that we need as teens aren't always covered in schools, so it is crucial to learn them while we are young. This way we know what to be prepared for when we enter adulthood. Being part of this program has allowed me to travel internationally, and just recently I had an incredible experience to explore New York City and see the ball drop on New Year's Eve. A lot of teens don't get to experience that. How many programs are willing to take that risk to provide and make sure the teens have fun and provide with those opportunities? Today, I am asking for support to help POOF Teen Center to keep it open. This program is not just beneficial for me, it is also essential for all of us. Additionally, I am also a member of Involve Her Girls Mentoring Program, which is housed inside of POOF with further emphasis of the importance and membership and support of young girls in our community. Closing places like POOF will not only impact me, but it will also affect other teens around us in this program. Thank you for your time.
Hi, I'm Kamaya Martin. I am a senior at J.D. Clement Early College. Today, we are here to talk about just social issues and problems in our community. We sit here today as we could be doing something else in our homes right now, but we're here today for you guys to listen to us. And it's very important that you just take the time and realize that we need your guys' help. We can't do this alone. You guys say it starts with us, but we started it. We need help. We have programs like POOF. We have programs like Team Purpose Learning Lab. I am like a representative at the Haven 360 project that we work with, Purpose Learning Lab, and Miss Maya herself, like Miss Destiny herself, has worked together with us teens to build us, to create a safe environment for us. You want us out the streets, but how can we get out the streets without no funding? How can we work together without you guys? It starts with you guys helping us out, and we're here to cry out for help, for you guys to actually listen to us and be there and hear our voices, because our voices are not yet heard, but we need you guys to just be there for us and just build our community. We need you guys' help. Thank you.
Thank you.
Greetings, my name is Damon Malone Jr. I am 13 years old and I'm currently in the 8th grade at James E. Shepherd IB Magnet Middle School. I am also the CEO and chicken knowledges of Bo Peeps, where I raise backyard chickens and sell organic eggs. Additionally, I proudly serve as a junior counselor at Purpose Learning Lab. It is crucial that Purpose Learning Lab receives its funding on time. Durham's investment in Purpose Learning Lab is an investment in its own future, as our student workers make a direct impact on the community by driving innovation, education, and social progress. Timely compensation reflects the value of our work in creating programs that empower youth and develop essential skills. Purpose Learning Lab offers hands-on, purpose-driven, and learning opportunities that prepare young people like myself to make meaningful contributions to Durham's economic and social growth. Investing in us is an investment in Durham's future. Please ensure that funding is provided without delay to support Purpose Learning Lab now. Thank you.
So I come to speak on behalf of the whole city, and it has really nothing to do with just one organization. I really would just want to speak to the city. Yes, we have a lot of kids here, but we have a lot of youth in Durham County that need our help, that need our voices. So much potential sitting inside of each kid in this room right here, but we're going to need help. When we talk about me and Destiny, we talk about some of our feet are on the ground. Sometimes we're not even resting. We're calling each other. We're opening up doors. Both of us. She was in Charlotte today. We had 53 youth today in Durham County, just keeping them safe. So when school's out, we're open, providing a safe haven for youth in Durham County. You talk about recreation. You talk about no place to go. We're trying to make sure that we have access to all of these things that kids can really do great things with. We're asking for help to pour into these. The mental health of youth is just crazy right now. We talk about a safe place, but let's talk about the mental health. Let's talk about the support. No, we're not these big old organizations like the YMCA or the Boys and Girls Club, but guess what? When you come to our organization, you see this whole room is full with just people just like us. We have a full room of people, and we can show you there's purpose inside of each room, and we're asking for just a little bit of help. Destiny needs about $54,000. That's a year. We're talking about $47,000 a month to stay open so that she does not have to close. I'm like, hey, I'll open up one of my rooms. Let's figure out what we can do. The local library, if we don't have that space, we need to make sure that we find a space in Durham. When you talk about recreation, when you talk about things to do, we need to work together to make sure that this space stays open. This is a safe space in East Durham. We're in the Fayetteville quarter, so there's another safe space. We have so many people that we are in places that people don't want to go, where the light is so dim. We stand in those places, and we have not moved. We've been there for about 4 or 5 years now, and we made a decision to stay there so youth can continue to walk to us, to get housed to us. We pick them up in vans and cars. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It is our practice to have public comment on Thursdays at 1 p.m., but these folks are at school, so I wanted to make an exception tonight. But I do want to start seeing y'all at more council meetings so you can see how this stuff works, because one of you all need to be sitting in this seat in a few years. You understand? Do you understand? All right. All right. So at this time, CNN. Oh, yes. Sorry. At this time, I will read the consent agenda. I'm sorry, priority items. Mr. Manager, I'm going to pass it over to you.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, members of council. The City Manager's Office has 2 priority items this evening. First, regarding agenda item number 12, amendment number 1 for the contract number 818421 with United Minority Contractors of North Carolina, Inc. for MWBE Workforce Section 3 and Davis-Bacon Consulting Services. Additional information requested during the February 6, 2025 work session has been attached. A second item, agenda item number 35, overview of housing opportunities for persons with AIDS, HOPWA. The additional information requested during the February 6, 2025 work session has been added under the priority items by the city manager, city attorney, and city clerk section. Thank you. Those are my priority items.
Okay, thank you. Madam Attorney.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, members of the council. It's good to see you. The city attorney's office does not have any priority items, but if I may take a point of personal privilege, I would like to introduce the city attorney's office extern, Darius Baker, if Darius is here. Darius is a 3rd year at UNC Law School. He's been with us since January. He will be with us through April. We've been very grateful to have him. He's got a demonstrated interest in public interest law and litigation. So this was the one council meeting the whole semester that he could swing. So we really appreciate Darius being with us this semester.
So law school is easy for you now. You've gone through the hard part, the 1L, right?
He's a 3L.
Yeah, he's gone through the hard part. I hear the first year is the hardest.
Yeah.
I tell, Chelsea Cook, Councilmember Cook, I let her know all the time, like, she and I are the only lawyers on council. She went to Stanford, I went to YouTube. Still works, So congratulations, welcome. All right. Madam Clerk, you have any priority items?
Good evening again. City Clerk's office has no priority items.
Great. Thank you so much. All right. 25. At this time, I will read the consent agenda. All right, item number 1, Recreation Advisory Commission mayoral appointment. Item number 3, Durham Performing Arts Center Oversight Committee appointments. Number 4, interlocal agreement for the distribution of sales tax between the City of Durham and Durham County. Item number 5, Durham Planning Commission annual report. Number 6, 2024 Durham Historic Preservation Commission annual report. Number 7, 2024 Durham Open Space and Trails Commission annual report. Number 8, 2024 Durham City County Appearance Commission annual report. Number 9, 2024 Durham Board of Adjustment annual report. Number 10, 2024 Citizens Advisory Committee annual report. Number 11, Homeless Services Advisory Committee annual report has been pulled. Number 12, amendment number 1 for contract number 18421 with United Minority Contractors of North Carolina Incorporated for MWBE Workforce Section 3 and Davis-Bacon Consulting Services.
You pull that one.
Number 12 has been pulled. Number 13, Durham Convention Center Authority Board 2024 annual report. Number 14, Durham Cultural Advisory Board 2024 annual report. Number 15, Durham Environmental Affairs Board 2024 annual report. Number 16, Third Amendment to lease with Duke University and Duke University Health Systems Incorporated for the Emergency Communications 911 Backup Center. Number 17, Solid Waste Management Transfer Station Building Number 1 renovation project design contract with DWT Architects and Planners Limited. Number 18, First Amendment to Service Agreement for Project Management Consulting Services with Turner and Townsend Heary, LLC. Number 19, ratification of 5 fiscal year 25 festivals and events contract. Number 20, Second Amendment to the Professional Services Contract with ADW Architects, PA for the Durham City Fire and Durham County EMS Station 19 project. Number 21, Second Amendment to the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act, Adult and Dislocated Worker Program Delivery Contract with Eckert Youth Alternatives Incorporated, DBA Eckert Connects Contract number 19714. Number 22, Bembe Festival Headlining Booking Agent Contract. Number 23, 2024 Recreation Advisory Commission Annual Report. Number 24, Sales and Storage Agreement for Sodium Chloride, Salt. Number 25, Contract Amendment Number 1 for Stormwater Infrastructure Repairs. Number 25 has been pulled. No, wait, is that a resource? It was a resource. Yeah, it's a resource. I retract that, it's not been pulled. Number 26, Utility Relocation Agreement, URA, for Stormwater Drainage System Repair and Sanitary Sewer Main Relocation Project with LRC-GB LLC and LRC Cordoba LLC. Number 27, First Amendment to Service Contract with E-Plus Technology Incorporated. Number 28, Contract with E-Plus Incorporated for implementation of the Metropolitan Area Network. Number 29, 2024 Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Commission Annual Report. Number 30, Municipal Agreement with the North Carolina Department of Transportation for North Roxborough Street and Horton Road and Denfield Street Project. TIP number W5705AI. Number 31, purchase of 7 replacement light transit vehicles for Go Durham Access. Number 32, purchase order for Premier Water LLC for aeration basin pumps at the North Durham Water Reclamation Facility. Right, general business agenda, we have the Durham Homeless Services Advisory Committee appointment, which, okay. Number 33, Consolidated Annexation, Polanco Residence. Number 34, zoning map change, Hoover Road Assemblage. Can you remind me? Which, 11 and 12. I'll now entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda with the exceptions of number 11 and 12, 11 and 12.
So moved.
Second.
Right, it's been moved and properly seconded. Madam Clerk, will you please open the vote? Please close the vote.
And the motion passes unanimously.
Thank you so much. All right, we'll go back up to number 11. So number 11 was pulled by Sarah D'Amato. Okay, yeah.
Good evening. My name is Sarah D'Amato. As many of you know, I'm the project director for Legal Aid's Eviction Diversion Program. I wanted to speak tonight to offer our support for the funding proposal that was in the HSAC report and their funding request. You'll note that their goals include the prevention and ending of veterans' homelessness, and also they aim to prevent and end homelessness for families, youth, and children. And their services through Housing for New Hope and Families Moving Forward and Alliance, those coalitions and that cooperation, those agencies help provide services for people who are imminently homeless or chronically homeless. And I wanted to tonight suggest, as well as our program is also seeking funding down the road, that the council consider that any funding for the homeless service providers or in our community, that legal aid, we see people right before they become homeless in many situations. And in many situations also, as a tenant comes to us and they're facing eviction, we often make referrals to Families Moving Forward. We make referrals to Housing for New Hope. We make referrals to Alliance. We are able to give tenants who are facing eviction the opportunity to often give more time from their landlord to negotiate with that, and to also connect again with those agencies in our communities. As we know right now, every time we open the news, there's somebody else is losing their job right now with the federal government and also with federal funding. And so we're going to see an increase in how that's going to affect evictions here in Durham. And so in addition to the funding that the City of Durham often gives to the homeless service providers in the community, such as Housing for New Hope, Alliance, and Families Moving Forward, I would just ask that you keep that in mind as you go into your budget discussions as it relates to funding our program, so that we can continue to work together in the community with those agencies that provide those services. Thank you.
Thank you.
Move to receive the report of the Homeless Services Advisory Committee.
Second.
Can I get a second? All right, thank you. This has been moved and properly seconded. Madam Clerk, please open the vote. Please close the vote.
And the motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. I didn't see number 12. Oh, yeah, that's right. Councilmember Rist.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, the manager referred to, in his priority memo, referred to the additional information that was provided following our conversation at the work session about the goals for minority and women-owned business participation in the Forever Home investments, the major investments the city's making. And so the compelling interest our city has in making sure that's a way that we can support and expand our small business community. That additional information was fairly brief, and we were asking for a little more data on how we'd reach that goal of 11% minority-owned firms and 7% women-owned firms. We got a small little slide in a slide deck, but I was expecting like a larger report or something, so it wasn't quite the information I was hoping to receive there. So I don't know whether Deputy City Manager Chadwell
Deputy City Manager Chadwell can come up. I'm also, I believe, Community Development Director Reginald Johnson is available via Zoom. If you have a specific question, you could see if he has the information for you. Otherwise, we can follow up with additional information if requested. Keith, I'm not sure if you have comments additionally, or if you want to let Reginald address the concern.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, members of council. I was just made aware that Mr. Johnson was available when I thought otherwise was the case. It may be appropriate that he be allowed to respond. Otherwise, Mr. Riss will be happy to have that returned and apologize for the mishap that this was not as responsive as expected, and we can most expeditiously respond to it as you wish.
I appreciate that. And just to be clear, so then we get the total numbers, but I think having some backup at how many firms are benefiting, right? What's the size of their contracts? A little more detail on that kind of information would be extremely helpful to the council as we think about it, renewing and then expanding the contract for the contractor to continue their work.
Again, sorry for the misfire. I think that the staff was expecting that a statistical response based on how they understood the question was would be appropriate. Understand what you're saying. We're happy to try and have that provided for the very next time that the council's together.
Appreciate that. Thank you. I would just refer it back to. Okay.
All right, so colleagues, we're just going to refer this back to staff. So a motion is not needed at this time.
Point of the question?
Yeah.
To the staff, this isn't going to affect any timeline in terms of work or anything, will it?
No. Reginald Johnson, Director, Community Development Department, it will not.
Okay. Mr. Johnson, did you want to respond to my colleague's inquiry? Because I want to get a sense of exactly what we're being asked for. And did you want to give a response?
Well, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. It sounds like the council member wants a detailed report on the firms that compose us exceeding the goals for minority and women-owned participation, such as the name of the firm and amount of contracts. We actually have that, and we'll be glad to provide that.
Councilmember Riss, is that since they have that information, is it okay if we go forth with this, or do you prefer to still refer back? Or what if you get, when you get the information, is there something different you're looking for, or what is the outcome?
I mean, if that's it. Thanks, Mr. Johnson. I'm glad you're there. Yeah, I just would love to see that, just again, as we're making decisions on large contracts. If that's information that's available and that can be sent to, that's fine. And I just want to be able to see that and make sure we have that kind of that backup.
Yeah, I remember we had this conversation with when Mr. Jackson first came on board, I believe. I think that was something we talked about as well, but I know it's present, so we can make sure we get that to you as well.
Yeah, insofar as this is an amendment to an existing contract, for me, I don't think we've crossed the threshold where we need to refer it back. I take the staff members at his word that he has the information, but given that, I don't really see a need to hold up passing this contract tonight. With that, I'll offer the motion for item number 12.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor. Is there a second? Okay.
This is not a second.
Oh, go ahead.
Since staff said that they would refer it back, that would be my,
Thank you. I was deferring to Director Johnson's opinion that he stated when he asked if the delay would be a concern. The answer is no, that the delay would not be a concern. That is not to say that we aren't prepared to move forward if council adopts it this evening. If the council's wish is that the additional information will help them decide whether or not to approve the contract, I rest on Reginald's recommendation that the time delay isn't a concern. If council does not think that information is pivotal to approving the contract, we're prepared to move forward this evening.
thank you for that clarification.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I'm simply saying that there's no controversy here as far as my read. This is just a request for information. But there's nothing. Well, yeah, I'm prepared to move forward. The staff said they'll give us the information. We do this all the time. Staff gives us information per request all the time. I don't see anything particularly unique about this particular contract. More of it's an amendment to an existing contract that we're already in. So thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right. If there's a motion, if there's no second, then I'll just go ahead and refer it back. If there's a second, then I'll entertain it. All right, we'll just refer it back to staff. All right, what was that other one? That was it, right? Now we're going to we need to address number 2. Durham Homeless Services Advisory Committee appointment. We addressed this at the work session, but we were tied and just decided to move it to the general business agenda. Madam Clerk, can you give us a report out where we are?
Yes, I followed up with Councilmember Caballero this evening, and we have a majority vote for Tasha D. Melvin to be nominated and appointed to this seat.
All right, thank you. I believe that was the recommendation as well, so that's good. All right, can I get a motion to? All right, it's been moved. Is there a second? All right, it's been moved and probably second to appoint a resident to fill one vacancy on the Durham Homeless Services Advisory Committee representing a nonprofit organization with the term to expire on June 30, 2026. And that name is Tasha D. Melvin. All right, Madam Clerk, please open the vote.
One second.
Okay. Yeah, we're frozen.
If you
up
all
here.
can.
Oh, there we go. All right,
do
the
it one more
vote is
time.
open. The vote is open, colleagues. All right, Madam Clerk, please close the vote.
And the motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. All right, we're moving along. All right, now we'll go into our public hearings. And I'll now receive the staff report for item number 33, Consolidated Annexation, Polanco Residence.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem Middleton, honorable members of council. I'm Aaron Kane with the Planning Department. I'm happy to be here with you this evening. Before I begin, staff would like to state for the record that all Planning Department hearing items have been advertised and noticed in accordance with state and local law, and affidavits of all notices are on file in the Planning Department. A request for a utility extension agreement, voluntary annexation, and initial zoning map change has been received from Brian Sawyer for one parcel of land totaling 0.529 acres and located at 4873 Stanley Road. This annexation petition is for a non-contiguous expansion of the corporate limits, though contiguous to a satellite of the corporate limits. As part of this annexation petition, the applicant is not seeking a change in the underlying zoning district. A direct translational zoning is one in which the existing county zoning is translated to the identical city zoning district upon the annexation into the property into the city limits. The property is currently designated established residential on the place type map. The proposed residential suburban 20 zoning is generally consistent with the designated use shown on the place type map. If the proposed zoning is approved, there will be no change to the place type designation of established residential. Thank you, and staff and the applicants are here to answer any questions.
Thank you. You've heard the staff report. Colleagues, are there any questions for staff? Councilmember Cook.
Hi, good evening, Aaron.
Hey, good evening.
I just had a quick question, actually, which is that can you explain to me how the costs are borne of extending the water and sewer lines? Because this is a pretty significant extension. And I imagine the applicant pays for that, and I'm just curious if there are any offsets, if there are any subsidies, anything like that that helps people get connected?
No, it would be the applicant or the property owner's responsibility to bear those costs, and I'm not aware of any city subsidies for that, especially in this case. No, I'm not aware of anything.
And is it ever the case that folks go in with neighbors? I'm just curious, because it seems like it would be an expensive cost, and I'm just curious how it's.
Yeah, I can't speak to the costs specifically, especially in this case. I don't know the particular costs here. Sometimes that maybe it has not been in my tenure here that there's been a situation where, say, there's a group of neighbors that are looking to extend. I've not seen that, but it certainly would not be out of the realm of possibility to do so.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? Yes, Councilmember Freeman.
Thank you. I just had a general question and just using the opportunity to ask, is there any system in place to figure out property owners and or coming in from out of state, I just wanted to know if there's a system that the planning department uses to identify property owners, really.
So we use the owner of record from the County Register of Deeds office. And what you can do is you can look at the property owner and then the address. The property owner should have an address in it. You can compare that address to the address of the actual parcel to see if it is, say, an owner-occupied parcel or if the ownership is local. Sometimes they are LLCs, and the LLC will have a particular address that and that is the address on file.
And if the LLC is out of state in like Delaware, where they don't identify who the people are, is there anything that you ping around that?
I haven't really come across that. For the most part, anytime I've personally had to deal with an LLC ownership of a parcel, it's been local, or if it hasn't been local, it's at least been registered with the State Secretary of State's office. So we've been able to determine, for example, who is an authorized signatory for acknowledgement of a zoning action or for an approval of an annexation or something like that. It has not been an issue.
Thank you. I'll have some follow-up, but I just wanted to get that on the record. Thank you.
Are there any other questions? All right, you've heard the staff report. I will now declare this public hearing open. How much time do you think you need?
Maybe a minute and a half.
All right, let's go ahead and put 5 minutes on. Is your name?
Mr. Mayor, this is a public speaker not the applicant.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was just looking at this like, wait,
Are you the applicant?
I'm not technically the applicant is the owner, I think, but I'm with the applicant. I'm the land surveyor.
What's your name?
Applicant. Mary Elizabeth Smith is my name.
Okay, here you go.
With Sullivan Surveying, so the applicant is actually out of the country right this second, so.
Okay, so I have you and Mr. Biker and Brian Sawyer.
Mr. Biker's for the next case, I believe.
Yep, sure right. You're sure. Yep, you're right. So I have you two for this one.
Yes.
Okay, gotcha. So, all right, we'll take it 3 minutes. Go.
Okay, hi, thank you, Mayor Pro Temp, and members of council for your time. Thank you, Aaron, also for your presentation. I'm Mary Elizabeth, a land surveyor with Sullivan Surveying, and as stated by Aaron, the goal is to have this property off of Stanley Road annexed, to have access for utilities, and I hope this would be something that would be viewed as amiable by council and hopefully can help to be beneficial for our property owners as well. So thank you guys for your time and consideration.
Gosh, such a complex presentation. All right, thank you. Actually, those are, Mr. Bryan, are you resource or would you need to show? Oh, okay, gotcha. All right, so those are all the speakers I have. So at this time, I'll declare the public hearing closed and back before the council. Questions, colleagues?
Going to come back to Councilmember Cook's question. So are you going to be running water down Stanley Road?
So if you will come to the podium here, get on camera, get famous.
Thank you for considering.
Absolutely. Just state your name.
My name's Brian Sawyer. I'm the general contractor. There's no water on that street available for city water. Our main purpose is to tie into the sewer.
And there's already sewer on that street.
I'm sorry.
So you're just tapping into the, that's it.
All right. Any other questions or comments, colleagues? Yep, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you. You're not the owner.
No, I'm a general contractor.
But this for a personal residence?
No, yes.
Private
I
residence?
think he plans on living there himself, yes.
Okay. Is he a head of a multinational, multi-billion-dollar development company, anything like that?
No, he owns a dump truck. He's a trucker.
Trucker. How long has he been in Durham?
I think 20 years.
Thank you. That's it.
All right. Any other comments, colleagues? Questions? All right. So at this time, I'll entertain a motion to adopt an ordinance annexing Polanco Residence into the city of Durham and to authorize the city manager to enter into a utility extension agreement with Rogerio Polanco and Yenis Carolina Morales.
Moved as read.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Madam Clerk, please open the vote. Please close the vote.
And the motion passes unanimously.
Councilmember Cook, is your clicker working, or are you didn't vote?
It's unanimous.
Okay, it's unanimous, but, all right, thank you. And the last item, number 34. Oh, I'm sorry, gosh, moving too quick here. The next motion, to adopt an ordinance amending the Unified Development Ordinance by taking property out of the residential suburban 20 Falls Jordan District B county jurisdiction and establishing the same as residential suburban 20 Falls Jordan District B city jurisdiction.
Moved as read.
Second.
Been moved and properly seconded. Madam Clerk, please open the vote. Please close the vote. And report out.
And the motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. And lastly, I'll entertain a motion to adopt a consistency statement as required by North Carolina General Statute, Sections 160D-605.
Move to adopt consistency.
Second.
Moved and properly seconded. Madam Clerk, please open the vote. Please close the vote.
And the motion passes unanimously.
All right, last item, number 34, zoning map change, Hoover Road Assemblage.
Mayor?
We'll now receive the staff report.
A request for a zoning map change has been received from, from Dan Jewell of Thomas and Hutton for 63 parcels of land totaling 23.204 acres and located in East Durham, generally west of Miami Boulevard and Hoover Road, north of Ash Street, and south of Harvard Avenue. The current zoning is residential Urban 5, residential Urban 5-2, and commercial neighborhood. The applicant proposes to change this designation through a graphic development plan to Plan Development Residential 17.325. The applicant is proposing to rezone the properties to allow up to 402 residential dwelling units, at least 25% of which would be townhouses. The properties are currently designated mixed residential neighborhood, established residential, and neighborhood services on the place type map. The proposed 17.325 zoning is generally consistent with the designated types of mixed residential, neighborhood, and established residential, but is not consistent with the neighborhood services place type. If the proposed zoning is approved, staff recommends a change to the place type map to designate the parcels currently designated as neighborhood services to mixed residential neighborhood. Staff also recommends changing the parcels currently designated as established residential to mixed residential neighborhood for consistency and to acknowledge the change in housing type. Thank you. Staff and the applicants are available for any questions.
Thank you. Councilmember Cook.
Hello again.
Hey.
Could you just quickly tell us what the neighborhood services place type designation is?
So it's intended for neighborhood, commercial, and civic uses. So think your small-scale retail, care centers, the kinds of things that you would, the kinds of non-residential activities you might want near residential areas. And there is still a significant amount of neighborhood services up there on that road. This would just be eliminating for a few parcels.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for staff? Yes, Councilmember Rist.
Mr. Ken, also along those lines, so of the 23 plus acres in this case, can you say what percent, because there's different place types in there, right? So what percent is the neighborhood services place type, which is right there, right fronting on Miami, right?
It's just those 4 parcels. From a percentage of the land, we're maybe 10%. I couldn't give you an exact amount right now, but it's small.
Thank you.
All right. So at this time, I'll declare the public hearing open. And Mr. Biker, you're the only speaker I have. How much time do you need on this?
Mr. Mayor, I think 4 minutes would be sufficient.
Thank you. You have 5 minutes.
Good evening, Mayor Williams, Mayor Pro Tem Middleton, members of the City Council. I'm Patrick Biker. I live at 2614 Stewart Drive. I'm an attorney with Morningstar Law Group. I'm here representing the local ownership team of this assemblage along Hoover Road for this agenda item. I'm joined tonight by some of our ownership team who are sitting right over there. This is a rather unique situation since we are representing a group of local owners who have assembled one of the strongest infill developments that I can recall. This local ownership group includes Durham Habitat for Humanity, and our team has been working on this assemblage since 2019. The team has put together 23 acres, but only slightly more than 12 acres are developable for new housing. The construction of Sater and Creasy Streets with sidewalks on both sides will create a grid network with Ash Street and Hoover Road. When you add in the required stream buffers and the stormwater control measures, those factors all reduce the acres that can be developed to just over 12. It is important to note that there is no housing at all on any of these lots today. I have to say I've worked in Durham for about 30 years, and I did not realize this infill opportunity existed until we started working on this rezoning. Since the Hoover Road Assemblage owners are the applicant here and not a developer, it precluded some of the options related to compliance with our comprehensive plan. However, the owners have made a strong commitment to affordability. Along with the new streets and sidewalks, that affordability commitment drives this infill development in order to locate new housing approximately 2 miles east of downtown. As shown on our development plan, there's a commitment to apartments and townhouses within this assemblage in order to diversify the housing stock in this corner of Durham. Since it was the desire of this ownership group to diversify the housing types in this area, we knew we had to be a good neighbor and focus on community engagement. Accordingly, in addition to our 2 virtual neighborhood meetings, for which approximately 600 folks were notified, we also had 2 lengthy meetings with Partners Against Crime District 1. The first was on Saturday, July 20 of 2024, and the second was on Saturday, November 16 of 2024. As a result of those meetings, the leadership of Partners Against Crime District 1 provided us with this letter of support. We hope you can take this opportunity to review this letter, and I'll provide a copy of the letter from the PAC 1 leadership to the clerk to be included in the record of this meeting. While we have this letter on the screen, I do want to proffer on the record a contribution to Durham Public Schools in the amount of $13,000 based on $500 per additional student prior to site plan approval. If we are fortunate to receive your approval, we'll send an updated development plan to Mr. Kane to that effect. To wrap up, I do have to point out, if you look at this slide on the left side, about 2/3 of the way down, that John Warasilla is one of our ownership team leaders. And he was recognized last year by Preservation Durham for over 30 years of visionary leadership in our city. We are blessed to have such dedicated and experienced folks working on this assemblage. Unfortunately, however, this assemblage has been used as an illegal dumping ground for many years. The local owners have had to spend over $60,000 of their own money to clean up the illegal dumping you can see on these 2 slides. Regrettably, this type of activity continues today, and the ownership team regularly spends its hard-earned money to get it cleaned up. For all those reasons, along with the unanimous recommendation for approval from the Planning Commission, we respectfully ask for your approval tonight so that this project can move forward. Our team will be happy to answer any questions. Thank you very much for your time this evening.
Thank you. All right, thank you. At this time, I don't have any other speakers, so at this time, I'll declare the public hearing closed, back before the council. Colleagues, Councilmember Cook.
I will be brief since you actually touched on one of the 2 things that I was going to ask about, which was the school proffers. The other thing that was brought up at the Planning Commission was, policies 101 and 108 around native trees and plants. There was a note that this is in the priority for green infrastructure. So is there, and I know what you said at the Planning Commission, I know that these are local owners, but you are proffering other things, so I was wondering if there were any proffers you could make around that.
No, Councilmember Cook, the only proffer that we wish to put on the record tonight is the contribution to Durham Public Schools. We reviewed attachment F very carefully prior to this meeting and certainly had a very good give and take with the Planning Commission back in December. But in terms of the different infrastructure considerations, that's very difficult for us to commit to since different developers, different home builders have different parameters for their types of developments. So as an ownership team, we're just not able to commit to those.
Any other questions? Councilmember Baker.
So I'm happy to see the Sater Street connection. I think that's going to be very important. And we're closing the Felix Street connection, but I'm curious if that was ever even feasible to connect because of the utility easement that is on the property and also on the adjacent property. Was that even ever something that could have connected to the north?
No, because it's one of those big high tension wire easements, and they don't allow public streets within that type of an easement, Councilmember.
Okay, so it sounds like it makes sense to close that street anyway.
Yes, sir.
There is the neighborhood services. I usually think that's a very important future land use place type. I think in this case, when we look to the east of this property and what is directly to the east is what we see things that are very much heavy commercial in nature. There's cement, propane, cremation, the water world is right there, metal fabricators, plumbing and HVAC, and then there's 885. So to kind of put like a neighborhood-oriented community non-residential there, even though that's what's being called for in the place type map, I'm actually comfortable with us being able to change that. I don't see staff pushing back very hard in the staff report on that future place type map change either. So I'm comfortable with that change as well. I do think the affordable housing for 20 years, I know that you said that you already came to the table with one proffer that you wanted to make, but a lot of planning commission commented that 20 years, it would be better if it was 30 years. Is that something you'd be interested in proffering?
No, sir. The financing, unfortunately, hasn't gotten any better over the last year and a half. We were all optimistic that interest rates would start to decline. And our feedback in terms of, I want to emphasize the 20-year horizon only applies to the apartments, multifamily. And that's because the financing market has not improved. If anything, it's gotten worse. And so it's very difficult to obtain financing for that. We did commit to 30 years for the townhouses because we know we can obtain financing to build those.
Okay, that's it for me for now.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Freeman. All right, Rist.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thanks for the presentation. So yeah, love the local ownership group, love the engagement you've shared, love the infill of this project, appreciate the proffer to DPS, and also appreciate the vote from the Planning Commission. When we talked about the commercial, and I want to talk about that a little more. I mean, Councilmember Baker mentioned that briefly. So admittedly, it's an odd corridor. I remember years ago driving out to the DMV there, Water World is out there. But it is a commercial corridor, and it's only a mile from Wellens Village, right?
I think it's only half a mile from Wellens Village, actually.
Yeah, I mean, maybe a little more. So it's close to a lot of stuff. It's definitely, as we talked about, it's that kind of donut hole it's filling in Durham, which I think is appropriate, very much appropriate. Part of our job in the council is not only to sort of approve things for what it is now, but looking forward to what that's going to be 10, 15 years from now, right? And we talk a lot about building a 15-minute city. And what I'm concerned about is that right now, I get that the traffic counts are down because we built the East End Connector, but that's still a commercial corridor. And what I'm concerned about is that we take away the neighborhood services piece, and then 10 years down the road, I mean, Brickworks is just around the corner, right? And that's that's 1,800 resident or units there, also with commercial. What I'm concerned about is that if we take away the neighborhood services now, are we going to say 10 years from now, shoot, we've got housing up to the street there. We'd really appreciate having some neighborhood services right there on the frontage. So
we looked at it really hard Councilmember Rist, as a team, and we have people who are much more capable than I am evaluating that. And yeah, what's remarkable about Miami Boulevard is the traffic count actually dropped by 50% after the East End Connector opened. And the folks on the team, we met with real estate brokers. We just could not identify a non-residential use that would work for that little frontage along on the north side of this assemblage. What I think is more important, actually, is the point I made about diversification of the housing types. That if you drive through the neighborhood there, you'll see that it's really predominantly single-family detached housing. And so when we looked at, and as Mr. Kane mentioned, and I agree with, I think it's actually under 10% of the assemblage is neighborhood services. We thought it was a better use of that property to bring further diversification of housing types to that part of Durham, as opposed to put in a commercial that, to be honest with you, sir, would just sit vacant.
I mean, so how long is it going to take to complete this development? We're talking like 5+ years?
I think less than that, sir. Hopefully less. I mean, certainly our objective is to move more expeditiously than that.
Because again, I'm thinking about like what this is going to be 5 years down the road.
Well, keep in mind, Brickworks will be adding 50,000 square feet of non-residential space that folks in this neighborhood could, I think, would be able to walk to. And you got an fairly easy connection to Wetlands Village as well, straight shot up Miami Boulevard. So I think there's plenty of non-residential opportunities right in the vicinity there. It's just this 5 to 10% of the assemblage on the north side of it simply doesn't make any sense to us to make that non-residential.
And so what do you envision then coming? What's going to be facing the street then, facing Miami, that when this is completed?
It would either be some townhouses or some apartments that would be oriented, to the street.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, colleagues, and thank you to this local ownership group. This is infill development, which I am, in my quest to keep fidelity with what I voted for in our comp plan in terms of the urban growth boundary, I place a high premium on good infill development. Not perfect, but good. It's really strong infill development. I think the Planning Commission got this one right. And the fact that what's interesting is that it was a unanimous vote, but they still had caveats. They still had comments, which I think is illustrative of good not making perfect the enemy of the good. And I think their comments were useful. The challenge is when we want developers who have local values, but with the ledger of a multinational developer or multi-billion-dollar developer. And so sometimes when it's local folk, they can't do all the things that the big boys or big girls, big people can do that we'd like them to. I believe they would if they could. So I understand some of the limitations. A lot of times this was a dumping ground. This area a lot of times was dumped on. We need some development there, and we need some good housing there. I'm pleased with the mix between its ownership and rental. What's the breakdown of that again?
It would probably be ballpark 2/3 multifamily apartments, 1/3 townhouses. That's our best guess at this point in time.
Yeah.
Ballpark.
Yeah, I think this is a good example of infill development. Again, I think the Planning Commission got this one right. In an urban, living in a city, it is not uncommon to walk down the street of a city and 2 blocks is residential, and then the next block, boom, you're in some different type of use, or maybe that's what a city is. Oftentimes, as our urban center gets more dense, and certainly we need to keep vigilance with trees and other things. But I think that this is actually a good project when it comes to infill development. I'm excited about the local development group that's behind it. I like the mixture of housing. I echo Councilmember Baker's concern, query, what have you, about the 30-year threshold for affordability as opposed to 20. I do like the extended affordability on the townhomes, but I do also understand the limits of a local group who may not have the revenue of a bigger player, but I think has the appropriate values for our city in mind. So I'm going to support this project, look forward to it, and I thank the Planning Commission for their recommendation.
All right, thank you. It's a great project. I'm excited to have it. I gave a TED Talk this weekend at Duke University, and one of the things I talked about was, the community in action, and if a community was an action word, part of that means, running into your neighbor, and meeting folks in the grocery store and being able to create a space, an environment where, you can share pain but also share your promise. It feels good to see folks that I see on a daily basis in the coffee shops or just in the grocery store, normal folks that not looking at some big company, public company that's shared on the stock market in the housing industry, but folks that live right in Durham, also making an investment in Durham, an investment that reflects that responds to the needs that we have in Durham as well. So I am grateful for this project and look forward to supporting it. It's a good project. All right, and with that being
Mayor, before you, I just wanted to ask a question to the applicant. I just wanted to know, was this presented at the PAC meeting or just?
Yeah, we had 2 meetings back in July and then back in November. I would say both meetings lasted about an hour. We had big easels up and good, well attended.
Thank you. I just wanted to thank you for doing that. I
Appreciate it.
Very many folks take advantage of the community engagement that's already happening, and so I do want to just note that.
Yeah, on behalf of our team, we all really enjoyed those meetings. They were very constructive. Thank you.
It's quite impressive. You have a letter of support from Mr. Chavez at that too. So
And Vivian McCoy.
Yeah, and Ms. Vivian. It's a high bar, so good work. And with that being said, I'll now entertain a motion to authorize the city manager to enter into a utility. Motion 1 is to authorize the city manager to enter into a utility extension agreement with Hoover Dam Investment, LLC.
Moved as read.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Madam Clerk, please open the vote. Please close the vote. And please pardon the curse word on the docket here.
And the motion passes unanimously.
All right, motion 2 to adopt an ordinance amending, I'll entertain a motion to adopt an ordinance amending the Unified Development Ordinance by taking property out of Residential Urban 5, Residential Urban 5-2, Commercial Neighborhood, and Falls Jordan Watershed Protection Overlay Protection Area Partial, and establishing the same as Planned Development Residential 17.325 and Falls Jordan Lake Watershed Protection Overlay Protected Area Partial.
Moved as read.
Second.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Madam Clerk, please open the vote. Please close the vote.
And the motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. And lastly, I will entertain a motion to adopt a consistency statement as required by North Carolina General Statute, Section 160D-605.
Move to adopt consistency.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Please open the vote. Please close the vote.
And the motion passes unanimously.
Thank you so much. Thank you. That was our last agenda item. I do have something to address briefly, but I'll go to Councilmember Freeman first.
Thank you. I just wanted to just check in with city staff. I noticed with the comments that were made this evening with the students, there was a number of folks who made mention of timely, I'm sorry. This is timely compensation, and I was just trying to figure out, is there something where we're involved with compensation with this organization that's not timely?
I'm unaware of us having any support of the organization or any formal relationship with them. Okay. If anyone has any information that conflicts with that, please let me know, but off the top of my head, I'm not aware that we have any relationship with them.
So I was just trying to figure out. And I don't know, Mr. Mayor, if you were trying to propose some type of support in place for this organization?
It wasn't just that organization. It was the youth wanted to they wanted to be heard. They are working privately to raise funds. This is one of the organizations that inspired me to start the Bull City Future Fund. They have applied. So this wasn't break folks in and ask the council for money tonight. This was recognizing that there are great things happening with our youth in this community, and it needs some attention. So I used my platform tonight to speak to the Durham community to just ensure that this is a priority for everyone. I neither am asking for a specific contribution to one organization. This is more of a, we just don't get kids coming to speak at City Hall much.
So what I heard you say, I just want to make sure I understood, is that the Bull City's Futures Fund is an organization that people can support if they would like to support organizations like POOF and the Purpose Learning Lab.
We are nearly at $500,000 right now at the $1 million goal, but applications are open and they have actually applied.
Thank you.
Yes.
Just really briefly, I will also say that POOF is looking to purchase a new building because they did have to move, and there is a fundraiser online if folks are interested.
All right, so we have some weather coming up, and we don't know what it's going to bring. Colleagues, I'll ask for your flexibility as we just prepare for whatever is to come. We will send out some correspondence on how we'll address the meeting on Thursday if the weather gets really, really, really bad on Wednesday. I am going to have to request an excused absence for Thursday's meeting. And I'm going to ask for the absence. I don't know if I actually will need it or not, but I'm going to ask for it tonight. So, yeah.
So move.
Second.
Could you facilitate that?
Sure. Madam Clerk, could you please open the vote? It's okay. All in favor? Aye. Those opposed? All right, Mr. Mayor, you're excused.
Thank you. As stated, we are expecting a significant amount of snow. The staff, as great as they are, already are at it and working to prepare for that. And yeah, just be on the lookout from Manager Ferguson and myself to present options for our meeting on Thursday. Yes.
Is a virtual option one of those options? I just want to make sure because I need to clean up some space.
We don't know yet. We'll just look for correspondence from Manager Ferguson. The reason why I don't want to declare anything yet is because we need to look at some legal stuff with the attorney and see what our options are. But we did talk about it today. There are options to move forward on Thursday and facilitate it at another meeting. But I'll send those options out once we get a better understanding of what the weather is going to look like. All right, and shout out to Duke TEDx. Thanks for inviting me to be a speaker. It was a really cool experience, and congrats to all the speakers. We are adjourned at 8:41 p.m. Thank you all for a great meeting.